Salam, everybody. Once again, thank you so much for finding time to catch up with us on this episode, the final episode of COP27 in Sharm el Sheikh, Egypt. So, just as I had thought that the COP27 was done by around Friday, I was wrong because there were several meetings and decisions that were to be taken on Saturday and on Sunday. And I had promised to talk about World Cup because it was starting today on 28th of November 2022. But some of the things that were still pending at COP27 was the decision for the loss and damage, which when I began the analysis and the commentary on COP27, I had expressed my dissatisfaction with whatever was happening in the initial stages. As soon as they had tabled the agendas and there was noise when loss and damage was adopted as part of the agenda, I knew there was something wrong. And true to this, though we are very optimistic as Africans, true to this, we got a raw deal. The loss and damage was a 2015 decision, which has never been implemented until today. Now, what this decision entails is that the loss and damage is going to be, it was adopted this year as an agenda and also as an action plan today. That again tells us, as the UN chief, Guterres commented upon that decision, that this adoption will be ratified next year, all right, and the money may possibly be accessible, okay, by Africans and other developing countries in 2024. So from 2009 and 15 to date, those are 8 years. And before 2015, it had taken like 25 years. So the decision that is going to be taken next year will determine whether this money will be waited for another 25 or 30 years or so years. So it is a raw deal. And I'm happy that this came to fruition. And of course, like I said, these were the goose was coming home to roost. And so Africans, you need to come up with your own mechanism, your own decisions, your own way forward, your own resources. As long as we have resources that are needed by the developing countries, I am sure if we have active leaders who are not lazy, we have a very big leverage. Europe is in a crisis. And in the next few years, this crisis is going to exacerbate. And the policies that they're adopting for migrants or immigrants or for migration are going to turn against them in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 to 10 years. Because the weather extreme pattern are heading to Europe. I am not a prophet of doom. I don't wish bad to the Europeans. But whatever problems they think we are going to import to Europe, they will be now looking for lands to migrate to. Another thing, their population is very old. And so they will need a workforce. And more than that, because these are the opportunities that we are seeking for, they will need companions. They will need people to own most of the properties that the government is going to acquire from citizens who do not have generation or kins to inherit. Now, going back to our COP27, so what was adopted was the mechanism, and this mechanism was just a setup, but the real mechanism has not been developed. Secondly, there are no regulations or legislations to operationalize these ideas. And so this is widening the mistrust and the gap between the global north and south. So unfortunately, these steps that were taken upon the loss and damage agenda, or with regard to the funds, is really getting a lot of backlash from the Middle East countries, whose economy solely rely on fossil fuel. And so every agenda that was brought to try and minimize the dependency on fossil fuel, it has always been met with rejection and oil money. And so whatever this COP27 has managed to do is to scale down on the use and dependency of coal. But it is unfortunately, since coal is available in other non-fossil fuel producing countries, this is saying that those economies are not important as those that depend on fossil fuel. So this is the greatest disparity that the international community and global leaders have ever brought to the millennial generation. It is so unfortunate. And so the voice of Africa, like I said, it is always about yapping, crying, and showing how poor we are and how we are going to be poor if we are not assisted. I don't like this kind of an agenda. But what has happened, the voice of Africa this time has become a pressure. Africans have become a pressure group, and so they've been pressuring the scaling down of fossil fuel. South Africa is the greatest producer of coal. Kenya and Senegal were thinking of going through the nuclear, so they needed coal. And we have a lot of coal here in Kenya. But unfortunately, the voice of Africa was really not felt. One, most of the activists who were in Egypt received the statements from the who is who was accepted in the meetings very late in the second week, almost around the middle of the second week of COP27. This is unfortunate because you need a dissenting voice. You need an alternative voice so that you can be able to balance the conformist and balance the activist, because they all represent our opinions. And so fossil money still continues, and I told you these guys are not going to close their industries. These guys are going to continue building this house of card economy, and it is not going anywhere. And so the idea of going green and the idea of transforming to green energy and stuff, they remain to be a big pipe dream, and they're only going to be implemented by the private sector who have money, disposable income to do so. So this is the unfortunate. my thinking is that since there is something that the world economy needs from Africa and global South, I think these economies need to gang up together, identify what resources they have, and if they can get fossil fuel for this global South economy within themselves, one that is independent of the global operational and organization that even prices determines the price of oil. I think it is OPEC or OPEC. If we are going to do an alternative economy, global economy, I'm telling you, there is going to be a turnaround. Other than this economy being a dependent economy, we need to become independent. And we can only be independent, an independent economy, and one that has an impact in the global economy, if we can only come together. People who and leaders who act cowardly, who are lazy but in the position of power, they just want to benefit from easy money by conforming, becoming robots, becoming monkey do, monkey see, monkey hear, monkey say. They are people whom we do not need to listen to. And all global South citizens and voters, please, in the next elections from this year, the elections that are coming up in whatever country, please look for people who do not conform to the common norms that world leaders or traditional leaders have always taken us through. Let us look for people who are going to look for independency, other than freedom from responsibility, and freedom from identity, and also freedom from independence. So this is a big task, and it is upon us to try and achieve the goal. Because this money that COP27 was supposed to give to the developing countries, or countries which were really affected and they emit less greenhouse gases, it is not a charity. So it was an investment and a down payment for climate justice. And so this point was missed, and this point has really made us know whom we are dealing with. Otherwise, I'd like us to look at this issue on food. Here in Kenya, we are really trying to deal with food, the issue of food. Now that the government, the cabinet, has had, or subsequent governments, since 2003, we've been having legislation that looks around food security and food safety. That regime of the late Mwai Kibaki was looking into crops that are going to be sustainable, crops that are going to be resistant. And one of the main problem has always been pest attack. We've been losing a lot of food around that area. We've been losing food during harvesting, and also we've been losing food during storage. But Kenya has capacity to produce enough food. Let no government tell you that we have shortages of food. We don't have shortage of food. We only have dealers other than leaders. People want to make quick buck at the cost of the citizens who are the sovereign, people who elected you, but you want to make a quick killing. These are people who are supposed to be impeached. Unfortunately, the CS for trade, Moses Kuria, is talking too much. It is typical of him anyway. But saying that you're going to import because there's a shortage of 10%, or I think not 10%, 30 million bags, because Kenya produces 30 million and we need 40 million. So they want to import 10 million bags. This is nothing more of selling out, selling the people, the soul of the people who believed in you, selling the effort of the people whom had struggled amid COVID-19, whom the government has not even facilitated for the economic recovery after COVID-19 and during the elections. People whose financial capacity has been dilapidated by the pressure of the economy and lack of upward mobility economic-wise and lack of jobs. People have experienced a lot of loss. But it is typical, like the international leader, global community. The local leadership as well is behaving the same way. And these are politicians. We don't need politicians. So the food security crisis has always been exacerbated by people migrating from rural area, because we have made them to believe that food, good things are only in urban areas. And so the global production of food is also going down. So we need to think along those lines. And of course, people are leaving rural areas where they produce food because they are not paid well. And people choose to go to Middle East to be house helps so that they can bring back money. Anyway, it's another way of economy, but you have left what is the most basic and most important that can make your economy better. And so the idea of people like Bill Gates coming to bringing to us the BT maize, which we are told is not a GMO, which has been already purchased without proper procedure and proper legislation by this government. This is selling out the soul of their people, the people of Kenya. We have a right to be given a choice to consume what is available in the market, be it GMO, be it BT, be it organic. Let these foods be packaged and labeled as such so that we can be able to make a better and informed choice. We cannot accept maize from Canada, from England, from Australia, because their maize is not meant for human consumption. We are not at the level of the animals which are fed maize. And so this government is a sellout, is a government does not even respect the dignity of her people. Finally, Qatar begins today, the World Cup. This is a time for the world to come together. But unfortunately, as soon as I watched the opening ceremony, I saw in the social media that the Western or the West media did not cover the opening ceremony, simply because there was not a white person in the opening ceremony other than FIFA president, who is Infantino. The rest was a cripple, Arabic person, or a person living with disability from Middle East, and Morgan Freeman, an African actor. This is racism at its highest. If BBC and other American media did not cover because there was no one of their own, they are the people who have always destroyed this world. I have said, the light is shining upon the evil and the liars of this world. People have always struggled to become what they are not. And soon and very soon, the liberation and freedom, the true one, is going to come. And there's going to be a revolution. And people are going to stand against this secret society agenda. FIFA president talked you off, the European media and the West media, when you talked about Qatar not respecting human rights and human dignity. You were given a very good answer. The Europeans have destroyed and oppressed the people of this world for the last 3,000 years. Wow. Talking about when you're pointing others with one finger, remember 3 are always pointing you back. So let people enjoy World Cup. Let people come together. Let countries mingle together. And when we talk about white people, we are not talking about the white citizens. We are talking about the white leadership that has a secret agenda. So thank you so much. Thank you for listening to me. Remember to subscribe, to follow, to comment on my social medias, and of course, through our website, imunza.org. So have a good one, and may the best team win in this World Cup. Cheers.